Welcome back to Fortnite Trading Card Hub. In today's video, we are going to dissect the PSA population report and we're going to compare it to our last December data. Now, if you did not know, Fortnite trading cards, when you used to submit last year to PSA, fell under the value ultra modern category or service level. They were never allowed to be submitted under the TCG category. They were considered non-sports cards and they had to go through the ultra modern service level. So as of right now, PSA claims to have completed 99% of March. I know it says only 3/15/2021. However, this is probably more accurate. Now, what's important about this is PSA actually suspended all grading on March 30th of 2021. PSA should be done with all of the crazy amounts of submissions that were sent in between January and April. They claim to have gotten over 3 to 4 million submissions. And I do have a little podcast talking about that whole scenario if you're interested. I originally took a data set of all the PSA stuff when this complete through date was on December of 2021, because I really wanted to see how many cards were submitted from Fortnite in this time period, because we all know Series 1 is incredibly scarce. The crystal shards are very, very hard to come by. And more importantly, the quality control was not the best. So finding gem and gem mint cards have always been a real struggle. So let's go ahead and jump into the comparison and see how the data lines up. So if you look at column B here, we have our December data. So I know I said total graded here, but this is just referring to base, hollow, and crystals, not the promo sets. So there was 2,794 cards graded and 273 promo cards graded. All right, so this encompassed everything, not just crystals. In April, that almost doubled. We had an 83.43% increase with a grand total of 5,125 cards graded, so almost doubles. And if you do the math, that's 2,331 cards submitted in that 3 to 4 month time period. Now, of those 2,331 cards submitted, only 485 were crystal shards. So that was only a 20.8%. The other 79.2% were only base and hollows. In the December data, we had 35% of our total population was crystals. Our hollows and base took up 56% and promos took up 9%. This go round, we are at 28.6% crystals, 64.3% hollows and base, and 7.1% promos. Now, I went ahead and pulled some information out of my data sheet just to make it a little easier to read. The Crystal Shard PSA 10 Population 0 list is as follows. I'm not going to read them all, but I know you guys see one name on this list that stands out among the rest: Dynamo. Dynamo has 0 PSA 10s in the USA card variant. That's pretty huge considering that is a very desired skin in the game and a very desired card in the set. Next, if we look at the Italy 0 population for crystal shards in PSA 10, the list is very big with a total of 52.5%, over 100 different cards that have never got a PSA 10. You know, this data is really important for the hobby to thrive, and not everyone really does this kind of stuff. It'd be super helpful if you could at least throw me a like and subscribe. Let's unpack this puppy. So the number 1 graded card, once again, is the Black Knight Italy Crystal Shard. Not USA, Italy. Italy is the number 1 graded card, period. One thing we noticed about Black Knights is people will get them graded regardless of what they look like. Those things will all be in glass houses one day. Now, of these 34 potential USA crystal shards, a handful of these are definitely going to be crystal shards of the Italian version and the Brazilian version. Now, this column right here is going to divide the number of PSA 10s by the total population count. This will give us a good idea on the quality control of the various prints. What we have noticed throughout the community is certain cards are very poorly constructed and other cards got the star treatment in the assembly lines. For instance, the Skull Trooper. Although there is much less total population from the Black Knight, 18 PSA 10s, double the amount of the Black Knight. So it's kind of like a trade-off. There's less Skull Troopers altogether, but they're better quality. So I don't know how that plays into, like the long-term value. What we do know is the last Skull Trooper PSA 10 sold for $8,000. And that wasn't including taxes and fees. Next, we got the Peely Crystal Shard. 13 PSA 10s out of 21. So almost not as good as the Skull Trooper, but it's pretty close. So the Peely is done pretty well. Now the Italian version of the Skull Trooper, let's just go ahead and do this. I didn't do this on the Italian cards. 5 out of 21. So only 24%, which is actually worse than the Black Knight up here. God forbid we look at this one. 18% on the Italian PSA 10 to total count ratio. So if we take a look at the Red Knight Italy version, this is the highest by far of any Italy card in terms of quality control. This card got the star treatment, fresh blades, the most senior guy in the manufacturing line running the shop. They had to have been down there sharpening the blade every freaking cut, man. 10 PSA 10s in the Italy version is just insane. And we'll keep going through some of these top cards. So we have the Peely Italy Crystal Shard. Check this out. Only 1 out of 17. What is that percentage? That's less than 6%. 6% of the total Italy cards. We go down the line. We got the Red Knight Crystal Shard. 44%. Now we start getting into my baby girl. 0 PSA 10s from the Italy variant. Let's just make it so that we can see it. 0%. I'm telling you, I've been on the Lux fan page for since day one. I mean, she's a part of a lot of the teaser videos. She was a part of the battle pass that, people weren't super excited about at first, but then over the years have completely changed their MO. Now, once we start looking at some of the top cards and we specifically only look at the USA versions or the potential USA versions, we start to see some numbers that are quite alarming. For instance, the Lux Crystal Shard only has 6 PSA 10s out of 19 submissions. That's only 32%. And we've had 5 submissions since my last video, and this number has not changed. So Lux is definitely one of the cards that did not have the best production line placement, and one that's very close behind it is the Red Knight, because there's only 16 graded ever, and this is a very, very sought after card. This number should at least be in the 20s. When one sold for $10,000, there's no reason why everyone wasn't going through their stash and submitting this card for grading. So these two cards, I would say, should rival the Peely Skull Trooper and Black Knight numbers, if not far exceed them. I don't see this changing much. If anything, I see other cards becoming higher and these cards staying low, because there's definitely a trend. So then we have the Bright Bomber and the Fish Stick coming in both at 36%. Notice the Bright Bomber only had 11 last time, and this time we have 14. So over the last 4 months, we've had 3 additional grades. So if we sort by our percentage here, we'll start seeing some of the repeat data, but then we'll start getting some new data. So Lux, 0 of 15 PSA 10s, 0 of 6 for Stage Slayer, which I really like this card. It'll be 3 years here in 2 months, and we have 0. That's hard to fathom for a trading card set. Now, one thing I did want to bring up from my last video that is different this video. So I had Valor. Where's Valor at? Sort by this. So PSA must have messed up, because my data showed 6 from the last time I did this video. And I remember double checking it multiple times. But when I checked PSA this go round, they only had 1 PSA 8. So I don't know what happened here. I think someone accidentally mistyped or something. I mean, it was such a strange, out of place number that it didn't, I honestly was suspicious. But I just wanted to bring that up this video and make sure people are well aware that Valor is not, in fact, graded 6 times and is not the most graded Brazilian card. In fact, we can go ahead and get that out of the way right now. Peely is the #1 graded Brazilian card, followed by Bright Bomber and Fish Stick, and all these twos here, as you can see. All the ones you would expect, with the exception of maybe Ragnarok, but he's been making a slow rise to stardom in the last video as well. So the total number of Brazilian prints we have is 54. I know people get the idea that Brazil is incredibly scarce, because people are choosing not to grade them. However, if you see a PSA 10 Brazil, I would put that even a step above Italy, because I've had my hands on some Brazilian cards and they are rough to the touch. It's almost like they had sand embedded into the surface. So I don't know how that's going to affect grading, but when I see PSA 10s like Peely, 3 Brazilian Peely crystal shards that made it to PSA 10, like that's pretty huge. Now, if we only look at Italy for a second, so here's our list of Italy top 10. Peely, Lux, Royal Knight, Arachne, Heidi, Fate, Valor, Vertex, Bunny Moon, Skull Ranger, Gold Trooper. So let's just go ahead and get a quick tally of how many we have in total. We have 590 Italy graded. Out of the 590, we have 152 PSA 10s. Just 26%, which ain't too shabby, to be honest. I wouldn't expect 1 in 4 cards to be a PSA 10. People are probably very careful with their submissions. Now notice some of these cards I have labeled as USA and not mixed. There's one thing that we can confirm from our last video: if it had a 0 population, and it now has a population of any kind, they are well aware the difference between USA and Italy at this point. Additionally, if they still have a population of 0, we can confirm that there are 0 USA crystal shards. So there are some USA crystal shards that are guaranteed to have the correct population report. There were 631 potential USA crystal shards. So since December, we can confidently say there's at least 302 crystal shards that are 100% USA. No doubt about it, no questions asked. Because there was definitely some Italy and Brazilian print that were graded amongst the USA when PSA was initially getting used to Fortnite trading cards. Now, there's literally endless amount of data that I could pull from this Excel spreadsheet, so if you guys want to send me some questions in the comments, I can definitely go through it. So until next time, happy collecting.